Welcome to the Sexy Freedom Media podcast, friends. It's your host, Helen Edwards. Today's podcast is part 3 of a 3-part series of podcasts I'm doing on the subject of grief and loss. If you haven't listened to part 1 and 2, I'd suggest going back to episode 89 and 90 to hear any part you may have missed about my recent journey with grief. Today's episode is particularly special as I have 2 guests on to share their experience with grief and loss. 2 of my younger sisters, Mitzi and Kathy, who will be sharing later on in this podcast. This podcast is sponsored by Sexy Freedom LLC and the best-selling book, Nothing Sexier Than Freedom, by yours truly, Helen Edwards, available on Amazon and Barnes & Nobles, and coming soon to Audible. Grief. How does one articulate the full meaning of this word? I guess my other question would be, why would anyone want to know the full meaning of this word? During the last 2 months since Mom's passing, I found myself once again pondering the point of life. There is this tug to call my mom and tell her about my thoughts as I've always done before, but she's no longer there. I know there are a ton of positive people out there who want to fix those who are grieving. As soon as you say, "This is the way I feel," they want to swing in and turn it into a positive. But the truth is, people don't like to be in the muck of grief. It's uncomfortable to be around. So of course, people want to try and pull you out of it. They don't want you to talk about it, and they don't want to be in it. It's understandable. Sure, for many, it's probably a good thing to be pulled out of grief before depression makes its way to destroy your spirit. I also get that part. During the months prior to Mom's passing, when Mom was sleeping and I got out of the house, I spent a lot of time at the gym and working on my mental strength because I wanted to prepare myself for what was coming. I remember how I fell apart after my father's death and how I tried so hard not to fall apart after my brother's death. I thought to myself, here we go again. What can I do to at least protect my spirit? Surprisingly, the answers that came to me when I asked this question were far different from what I had gotten in my past grief experiences. I knew I had to return to myself, return to peace, return to love. This meant for me that I needed to stop fixing. That's an ego thing. Instead, I had to learn to listen. And that's it. Just listen. For someone who is a doer and a move maker, listening was not my best trait. And it's something that I had to work on continually. But I know that this is what I needed to do. Listening for me meant that I needed to slow down, learn myself again. What feeds my soul? What sings to my soul? Where do my smiles grow from? Where does my body feel most loved? Who in my circle provides genuine emotional support? Am I communicating effectively to myself what I need most in this time? I had mentioned before that one of the hardest parts of losing someone is knowing that they have made a transition from being alive and accessible to becoming a memory. And it hurts to know that because they are more than a memory. And because of this, it means much more to me to keep them alive through me, my journey, my actions, my love, and my stories. I mentioned that grief does validate my obsession with creating memories and watering relationships around me. See, 4 weeks after my brother passed, when I was in the beginning stages of my podcast, my mom decided to come on a podcast with me. I had forgotten about that podcast until today. I mean, she lost her son to suicide. And 4 weeks later, she's going on a podcast with me, talking about how not to give up. Mom is seriously the strongest woman I'd ever known. I'd like to play a small short clip of that podcast that was recorded on September 2nd, 2017, where my mom is talking about her love of riding motorcycles. I'm going to play it now.
Yeah, all by myself.
And so what is the thrill about riding a motorcycle?
The wind rushing up against your face, yourself, your body, the thrill of just going with no cage around. Cage is what they call a car. So you have this protection of the car, but if you're on a motorcycle, you have no protection. You have that freedom, that flow of energy.
Yeah, so that's kind of interesting because, I mean, you have always been into freedom and free-spirited. I thought I'd stop it there because she knew she was free-spirited, and that's something that she passed on to us. You know, I remember being a guest on podcast shows and also being a presenter for the indie podcasters and being asked, why do you do a podcast? My answer was always the same. It's a time capsule. How ironic to find out it truly is. Fast forward to when Mom was going through the terminal cancer, and I made the TikTok video that went viral. It hit 1.3 million views and thousands of shares. So many people reached out sharing their own stories of losing their loved ones. It got me pretty emotional. I just kept thinking, what a time we live in with social media. We can share our grief together and know we are not alone in this circle. Although not all grief is the same, as Megan Devine shares in her book, It's Okay Not to Be Okay. You know, with the difference of griefs by losing a parent versus losing a child. It hurts no matter which way you look at it, for all of us. Some of us have lost our loved ones suddenly, some to cancer, some to domestic abuse, some to health problems, some to suicide, some to addictions, some to accidents, and some to unexplainable or unfortunate happenings. After our loved ones are gone, we join millions of others simultaneously who are grieving around the world for their own loved ones. Maybe this is why grief is so freaking heavy, because it's an abundance of pain we all share. Just as we share abundance of love and positivity when we are in that place in our lives, grief also has its place within us collectively. It's strange, you know, because when you lose someone, everything slows down while life still goes on around you, and it feels like it's going on around you super fast. This feeling is often felt when you get that numb feeling. I often wonder, what is that place of numbness? It's like time stops and there's this nothingness that people who are outside of the nothingness can't understand unless they are in it too. I felt this extreme nothingness when my brother passed. My brother and I were really close. In fact, we were both the wild childs of the family, very much alike. He was so funny and fun to be around. He had a ton of friends everywhere and was a lot like me in a way of a giving heart. But he also had demons. We'd often talk about our demons. We both dealt with bipolar and suicidal thoughts for a very large part of our life. Because I'm older and he was following in my footsteps, I would give him the don't give up talks all the time. And each time he was struggling, he pulled through. I mean, I'd get a DUI and pull through. Then he'd get a DUI and pull through. I'd get served to pay child support and pull through. Then he'd get served with child support and pull through. I just saw him pulling through every single time of the most hardest times of his life. So his suicide was a shock to me, and it broke me. It broke us. It broke my family. It still hurts immensely to this day. I can honestly say I feel like I'm a broken piece of art. Every loss seems to take a part of me when they pass, but they also seem to leave me with something. My dad left me with a heart of forgiveness deeper than I had before. My brother left me with the fortitude of a warrior and the strength to get up and fight my inner demons. And my mother left me with her crown and the wisdom of both life and now death. I really believe there is something our loved ones leave behind for us. And if we spend too much time being clouded by grief, we won't be able to open the door to whatever it is that they left behind. I'm not sure if grief wants us to open that door, because that would mean we are learning to fly again. For me, I've learned to open that door and peek in. I want the knowledge and gift left behind because I want to live the best life I can. And I also want to honor my loved ones who passed and know that I'll see them again somehow. I'll feel them again through my life. And allowing myself to believe that they did leave something behind to me, for me, is something of keeping their memory alive as well. I truly understand how quickly life can go, and in a way, I am preparing for my own time when it comes to go. I'm going to share with you where my heart is currently at. I'm still utterly heartbroken. Just writing about the loss of my father, my mom, my baby brother brings so many memories back to me. I am often sad more than I let on. Sometimes everyone around me has no idea how broken I feel on a day-to-day basis. I mean, I just lost my mom. How can I not be sad? In saying this, I can also say, as I'm tearing up, I am in a better place. I am beginning to feel my divine spirit showing her face again. Helen is getting her groove back. Lately, I've been going through the narration review of my book, Nothing Sexier Than Freedom, a book that took me 5 years to write. Yesterday, I went through a chapter where I spoke about my mother. How many of us can say our stories will be alive in years to come because we are in a book? Well, sisters, if you're listening, the answer for me is my family can. I wanted to share this clip from my book, Nothing Sexier Than Freedom, read by my narrator, Jen Cannon. This is from chapter 26, U-Turn Yoga, where I'm speaking about the day I finally complete something, which was my yoga teacher training certification.
Day arrives. I pass with 90% on my written exam and pass my final yoga flow sequence test. My mother drives up from Kingman, Arizona, to come see me get presented my certification. I can't imagine anyone else I'd rather have with me at the certificate celebration more than Mom. My whole life, I wanted her to see I could be great at something. for her to see she raised me for success, and this is a perfect moment for us to share. Commitment is not one of my strongest traits, but this time around, I made it from beginning to the end. I cannot believe it myself. There's a sadness and pride in this day. Sadness to say goodbye to new friends I've made and the routine of learning something new daily. And pride for obtaining what I had set out to achieve. I have flashbacks of all the times I was so very close to quitting. I'm a certified yoga teacher now. It feels so weird and foreign, yet somewhat fitting. Whether I wish to pursue further or not, yoga has undoubtedly altered my inner truths by expanding my mind into the body and mind connection. I want to learn more about the yogi's way. Maybe this practice can bring me peace and a new sense of purpose if I allow it a place in my everyday life. Mom reserves a room at the Wyndham for a girls' night to celebrate together. We smoke a little bit of medical Mary together, have a glass of Kahlua, and snack on seaweed chips. We laugh our stoned asses off and play on the video app, Snapchat, for a few hours until we fall asleep. I remember hearing once that when people are about to die, they regret not spending more time with their parents. In this moment with Mom, I don't want to be one of those people who lived with that kind of regret. I'm happy she's spending my celebration with me as if we were both teenagers.
Wow. Whew, talk about a memory coming through. When I read that, going through my narration, I literally just had that memory come back, and I thought to myself, I'm so thankful that my mom pushed me to write, to finish the book, because I spoke about her so much through the book and how much she influenced my life and how much she taught me to be the strong woman I feel myself to be, the woman that she saw myself to grow into, saw me to grow into. And sharing that with the world really means a lot to me. So thank you for listening to that part. I'm going to go ahead and share my sisters here. And I just want to say thank you so far for staying with us and continuing to listen. Let's go ahead and bring my sisters on. All right, so here are some words from my sister Mitzi on her experience with grief and loss.
Thank you, Helen, for hosting these podcasts. I think it's such an amazing thing that you're doing, especially, after we lost Richard, after we lost Mom. I've been really trying to watch them, like Helen said, and my sister Kathy said, it's grief is definitely different for everyone. And there's no right way, there's no wrong way to grieve. You just got to let yourself go at your own pace. And every loss that you have is going to be different. So I'll just take, for instance, the loss of my dad. Tom was, I grieved a lot different than what I did with my brother. My brother Richard was, at that point in my life, probably the hardest thing I've ever had to do. If you follow me on social media, I've talked about it a lot. It was the most difficult, the most hurt, the most deep cutting. It literally felt like my heart had been ripped and shredded into a million different pieces. I went into deep depression. I faced suicidal thoughts myself. I ended up ultimately getting onto medication to help deal with that. I did go to counseling and everything. So that is not something to be ashamed of. When you grieve, you're going to grieve those losses deep, because that person was part of your heart. That person was part of your soul. And you need to allow yourself to explore those feelings. You need to allow yourself to go to whatever space that you need to allow yourself to heal. But where I don't want to say failed, but where I allowed myself to go is I allowed myself to be in that grieving space for about 4 years. And I finally felt myself coming out of that grief. And I felt myself, I was finally putting my pieces back together when everything happened with my mom. And again, with my mom, because I was on medicine this whole time with my mom, I haven't really felt the traditional grief that I did with my brother, because with that medicine, it does block me from having those feelings. And again, there is not a wrong way to grieve. For me, I am going to keep on my medicine because I don't feel like I can fully do the grief without her, just because I went into that really deep depression and I kind of lost myself with my brother. So with my mom, I've talked with my doctor about it, and I'm going to keep on the medicine, even though it makes me numb. I still do have those days, where I cry. I have those days where I want to reach out to her and I can't. But I do carry her around with me every day. I carry her around with me. Sometimes I'll pull her out on those moments where I really need to talk to my mom, and I'll pull her out and I'll just have that little conversation with her. But guys, there is no right way. There is no wrong way to grieve. You just gotta allow yourself to have those feelings. Allow yourself to be okay with whatever way you choose to grieve. And if you're not ready, and if you are on medication like myself, do it in a safe manner, especially if you've got those mental health issues, those mental health struggles. Do it with the advice of your doctor, because the last thing that you want to do is put yourself in a situation where you can't handle. So that's what I wanted to say. And just thank you, Helen, so much for doing these. I really appreciate you bringing light to this situation. You are such a big advocate for suicide awareness. You've been such a big advocate for pancreatic cancer, sister. And I admire you, and I look up to you in everything that you do, and all of this awareness and light that you're bringing. And thank you so much for allowing me to share your space today.
Well, thank you, Shark, little sister, for coming on and speaking your truth about your experience with grief, and also giving some inspiration and maybe some guidance for those that are in your situation or predicament or circumstance. So I really appreciate you. I know that talking about grief is pretty tough. I also would like you to share a little bit of what you got going on there. I see you got some really looks like the 60s look.
Well, the reason why I wore everything that I'm wearing today is this dress is actually my mom's. We bought it together. I have a really similar one. Where did we go? We went to somewhere that was like kind of a rockabilly theme. So she bought this dress, I bought a similar one, and we bought our pearls, and so we wore those, and we did our hair super cute to an event that we went to. And this hat is actually from my brother's celebration, his memorial. All of us girls wore this to his memorial that we had right here in Bullhead at the Chamber of Commerce. So just to kind of commemorate them, keep their spirit alive, this is the outfit that I chose to wear today.
And you look spectacular.
Thank you.
Yeah, well, I thank you so much for coming on again, and I look forward to talking with you more, because we are sisters.
Definitely.
All right, thank you everybody for listening, and we'll go on to my next sister. And now, here are some words from my sister Kathy on her experience with grief and loss.
So, I almost don't even know where to begin, but I've been told to go ahead and start at the beginning. So, I have my mom and my dad, and then there's us 4 girls, and the youngest of the 5 of us is our baby brother, Richard. So the first person in our family that we lost was my dad, was our dad. And that was the first time I experienced that personal, soul-wrenching grief. My relationship with my dad from an early age, it's complicated, but I was always a daddy's girl. Now, mind you, he wasn't really in our life very much. He was really a terrible dad. He wasn't really a good dad at all in the traditional sense, where your dad loves you and he's there and he takes you to the daddy-daughter dances and you have those one-on-one dates, that all those kids, the girls want to have with their dad. You're a shining example of the man you're going to eventually marry, and how relationships between men and women should exist. He's supposed to be that example, but our dad wasn't like that. But I found myself a daddy's girl anyway. I wanted my dad to love me. And so I tried to please him throughout my life in various ways. Some healthy, some not healthy. But when he passed, I had reached a point in his and my relationship where I felt like we were in a really good place. I had aired all of the things I needed to say to him when I was angry at him. And we had gotten to where we were talking and communicating regularly, and we had a somewhat healthy adult relationship with my dad. And so when I found out that he passed, I was devastated. I grieved in what I thought was a traditional manner. I wore black for probably about a good month and a half. I was really sad. I would find myself randomly crying for no reason at all. And for me personally, I'm not one of those people that likes to show weakness. I don't know why, but that's just part of my personality. So when I grieved, I wanted to grieve privately. I would go into the bathroom and cry privately. I didn't want people to constantly be giving me their condolences. And it wasn't because I didn't appreciate it. I did appreciate the thoughtfulness. It was because for me, every time somebody would give me their condolences or say that how sorry they were that I had experienced loss, it would remind me all over again, hey, you lost somebody that you knew and loved died, and they're no longer with you. And for me, it felt like a slap in the face. And it was really hard to receive. So I remember telling my husband to go to work, because at this time my husband and I worked together. Go to work before me and just tell everybody not to talk to me about it. I don't want anyone to remind me of what I've lost, and there's always that one person who either doesn't understand or didn't hear or didn't get the message. The first thing he says when I walk in is, hey, Kathy, I'm so sorry that your dad passed away. And I just wanted to kick him really hard in the shins. But I didn't. I did what was, in my opinion, socially acceptable. And I told him thank you. Meanwhile, in my head, I was kicking him in the shins. I'd say it took me some time to get over my dad, but it wasn't the type of loss that I experienced when my brother passed away. When my brother Richard passed away, and my sisters and I talk about this all the time, how we felt it in the universe. It was like in that moment, the moment that he passed away, I remember the world shifting where I was. I didn't know what was wrong. I didn't know that anything was wrong in the universe. It's just like the moment that he passed, where I was, I remember exactly where I was. I was sitting on the couch watching TV and honestly thinking about how great life was, how everything was going well. My relationship with my husband was good. My relationship with my kids were going in a really positive direction. My family was alive and happy and healthy. Work was good. Everything in life was great. And then I remember in that moment, I was sitting there contemplating how awesome everything was when I felt a shift in the universe. And it was like everything just kind of moved. And I remember thinking, that's so weird. I don't know what that was. Man, I haven't called Richard in a while. I should call my brother, but I didn't do that. And it was really hard because I'd say probably about maybe a half an hour later, I got the call from my mom. And it was a really awful experience that I don't wish on anybody. That was a really hard one. I went down a dark hole for a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, I got drunk. I got drunk for probably a solid week. And it was really hard to keep getting up and going every day because I knew that someone was missing who shouldn't have been missing. You know, when you lose somebody too soon, when you lose a parent, I mean, normally we think that that's the normal way of life, you know. Parents are supposed to go before their children are, but your siblings, especially somebody as young as Richard was when we lost him, it shouldn't have happened, you know. And I'm not going to talk about the circumstances surrounding his passing because that's not what this is about. It's about grief and how we experience it. I stopped functioning for a little bit. You know, I wasn't cooking. I wasn't really cleaning. I wasn't really talking much. I was crying a lot. And that was really hard. It was hard knowing that I was never going to be able to give him a call and let him know what's going on, you know? And with all of us and our siblings, we're all really close. We're, I would say, abnormally close. Oddly close. Like, we call each other all the time. And I don't think I've ever really talked to any of my friends who talk to their siblings as often as we talk to each other. You know how you have your best friend and you call them all the time? Well, this isn't calling your best friend all the time. We call each other every day, sometimes 2 or 3 times a day. We are an abnormally close family. And it's funny because we all laugh and joke and, you know, we know what's going on with each other on the daily. So losing a member of that closely tight-knit group was devastating for all of us. So being able not to be able to call him and talk to him and tell him the cool things that we're doing, or be able to celebrate his cool things that he was doing, you know, it was devastating. And both of those experiences were nowhere near as close as to what I'm personally experiencing right now with the loss of my mom. With my dad passed in November. And so that month has kind of like, Thanksgiving has always been my favorite month. I stopped being able to function during November. So for me, every time November comes around, you know, I know that my dad's passed on. And, you know, it's been a long time. So he passed in 2009. And I think not last year, the year before, 2020, was the first year since 2009 that I had been able to get through a Thanksgiving without the hardship that I had previously experienced. I wouldn't function. Come November, I would shut down. I start acting weird and crazy. I don't really participate in Thanksgiving, even though it was my favorite holiday. I don't really cook stuff. It was really hard. I had started to getting back to a normal place when Richard passed in 2017. And Richard's birthday was also in November. So that was like a double whammy. It was like just when you're starting to recover, there you go, back down to that dark place again, you know? So that was really, really rough. And with my mom, though, I don't think it's going to have an effect on my November. Oddly enough, because I don't associate my mom with November. I associate her more with December or the winter. And so with my mom, I was there. I moved all the way from Alabama to be with my mom and walk with her through the last part of her journey in life. That's the way I describe it. Help her walk that last path down the journey in life with her so that she wasn't alone, so that she'd have familial representation in myself. You know, I didn't want her to experience death by herself. And I thought at the time about her more than myself, because the truth is, now that I reflect back on it, I didn't realize what I was getting myself into. I didn't realize the emotional toll that it would take on me, the mental toll that it would take on me to experience that, the journey towards death. And I was with her, helping to take care of her, and my sole purpose was to be her comfort, to be there with her, and to help her in any way that I could. And I would have talks with her about, you know what, I need to get a tissue. Do we pause this or do I just run? Okay, I'm gonna run real quick. Okay, I'm back. That gave me a little bit of time to get myself together and blow all the snot out of my head. But, you know, I was saying that the toll that it was going to take on me mentally. You know, I was there with my mom, and in those quiet times when nobody else was around, she would talk to me about how she wanted to pass and what role I would play in helping her make that transition. And it really hurt me to be put in a position where I had to choose whether to help my mom or whether to allow her to continue to walk her path on her own while I was there beside her without assisting. And it was and I didn't realize the toll making that choice would have on me. But now that it's all over and she's passed on, the thing that haunts me, and I say haunts because it stays with me every day, is her last moments. The last moments that she had after she passed, the images that I can't get out of my head, seeing her that way, they haunt me. And the way I'm grieving through this is to distract myself with daily tasks, doing something to keep my mind occupied. And, you know, some people do arts and crafts, some people go out and get drunk. Nope, not me. I home improve. My house has all new window screens. I fixed my dishwasher. Sorry, not my dishwasher, my laundry washer. I'm thinking about retiling the floor, you know, anything to really keep myself busy. At night when I go to bed, in order to escape the nightmares, I will stay up as long as I need to and just play solitaire on my phone. Because if I have too much time to think while I'm in bed, I just start getting nightmares. And then I end up crying myself to sleep. I cried myself to sleep so many times. I cry in the shower, just big giant sobbing tears. It hurts. I feel that physical pain in my soul that I can't escape. And a part of me just misses my mom I want to call her and I can't. And it's really painful. But I have to remind myself that this is a huge loss. You know, that person that essentially taught you how to feed yourself, how to clothe yourself, how to bathe yourself. They taught you your first words, you know. She taught me everything I needed to know. And a part of me was like, I'm missing. What am I missing? What did she not teach me? Am I going to know how to make tortillas without her recipe? Because I know I can't call her anymore and ask her, hey, Mom, what am I forgetting? Am I putting too much this? How much salt am I supposed to put in? You know, I don't have her anymore as that resource. So if you're listening to this and you still have your parents and you still want to know how to make the tortillas or how to make those tamales or how much of some recipe that you absolutely loved at first, call her up and ask her. Ask her to make it with you. Make it several times. Not only are you going to learn, but you're also going to be receiving that precious time that you're never going to get back. Keeping myself busy. You know, for a while it was really hard to even do anything, but keeping myself busy besides that is about giving myself grace. I give myself a lot of grace now. I used to think, Kathy, you got to get up. You got to move. No, girl or guy. No, you don't have to. You stay in bed. You call in sick. You give yourself time to grieve. Fail at making dinner. Fail at doing your laundry. Fail at getting up and making your bed. Dude, there's sometimes I didn't shower. I just stayed in bed all day. And I would say, man, I know I got to get up, but I'm just going to lay here instead. And for me, that was fine. I'm giving myself, because I'm currently still doing it, I'm giving myself a lot of latitude to fail at living for right now, just because I know right now I need that. So if I don't feel like doing something, and I won't do it. Not because I'm lazy, not because I don't have the drive, but because I'm going through something and I need to feel that and experience it in whole before I can move on in life. Sometimes right now, I feel like I have a successful day if I have gotten out of bed, taken a shower, and made my bed. Because if my bed isn't made, I'm probably going to crawl back into it. So if I made my bed, I'm not crawling back into it. I feel like I've won. So I'd say with grieving, it's about taking my time to not heal, but experience a new way to live. Because you never heal from loss. The loss stays with you forever. You're forever an altered person. But it's a new way of continuing forward through your journey in life. Be blessed.
Thank you, Kathy, for coming on and sharing your experience with us. So in a moment, I'm going to talk to my sisters here. So let's just take a quick little breather. Fine. All right. So Sister Mitzi, Sister Kathy. We also have another sister, Melissa. Just give a quick shout out, who declined to come on, which is totally okay. I'm just thankful both of you came on, and thank you for the courage to come on and share this platform with me on this 3-part series, because like I mentioned when I first decided to do this, my experience with this part of losing mom was that I felt stuck. I felt the grief stuck in my throat and in my chest, and I could physically feel it. And one of the things that Kathy, you mentioned, actually, that the words were perfect. I've never heard it in that way, but I think it was interesting because it started made me think about when we got the news of Richard, about the universe shifting. I thought that was like, whoa, because I don't think I would have said it like that. I don't think I've ever said it like that, but that was exactly how it felt. So that was interesting. And Mitz, I know you really didn't speak too much about mom, and I know you really wanted to, so I'm going to give us a chance to kind of explain a little bit more. But one of the questions that people had kind of asked me was there any family drama during the process of your grief situations with any of your family members? And I think that question was asked because when somebody passes, there is some drama that comes up, which is kind of a thing because of everybody's emotions being heightened. So which one of you want to address this, or if you both do, don't jump in at once. Go ahead, Mitz.
Okay. So to answer that question, yes. Our family is such a strong unit, and we always try to talk things out, always try to work things out. And that's the spirit of mom, how she raised us and how she taught us to rise above things and really look at things from several different perspectives, and expand your mind and open your mind and try to come to the root cause of why this is coming up. So when it came to family drama, we did have some throughout the entire time that mom was sick, and even after she passed. And with those family members, we kind of got together and talked amongst ourselves, hey, so-and-so's doing this. What do you think about that? And we kind of approached it as a group mentality and tried to say, okay, well, let's not be quick to say, F you, we're done with you. It was more like, okay, well, why are they doing this? What could be the cause of why they're doing that? And so we came together and, we were like talking about it and really cut that drama from blowing it out of proportion to solving the problem. It's not completely solved, but just not being quick to cut anybody out, not being quick to negativity.
Yeah, okay. I guess I can try to build on that. I'd say, there a lot of people have reached out in the online. Gosh, I don't even know where to start with this one. I think first of all, I would say our previous experiences with death, with Richard passing, with Dad passing, led us to experience family drama surrounding death. Death brings out the ugly. You'll hear people say this all the time. Death brings out the ugly in people, or brings out their true colors, or whatever. That's where drama happens usually surrounding death, is because it makes everybody grieves differently. Some manifest it as anger, some manifest it as greed, some manifest it as really closed off, or emotionally closed, or emotionally over responsive. Okay, so it just affects everyone differently. And we were fortunate enough to see that before mom passed in our previous experiences. So we kind of knew, I think all of us kind of knew and came into the situation with the mindset that, hey, if it gets weird, we know what it's from, So I believe that helped us to cope, because each of us were able to get together in that close-knit group I was talking about and saying, hey, don't forget, if this person's getting weird, or this situation is stressful, it's because death brings out the weird in people. So how are we going to respond to this? Let's think about this. And how can we overcome this? How can we get around this and continue moving forward in a way that will honor our mom? Because I feel like in throughout this journey, our whole perspective was, what's best for mom? How can we help her through this? And how can we support her last leg through life? That was our mindset. It wasn't really inward focused about ourselves, because after somebody passes, you have time to be selfish, or you have time to do that. And I'm sure each of us individually got to express our own personal emotional journey throughout this, or what was going on with us. But I think we each really tried our best to focus on how to be mom focused rather than drama focused or us focused. To answer the drama though, I would say, yeah, there was some. And my part personally was I tried to be a mediator of sorts because I was so closely connected to my mom throughout this, to try to ease that tension or to have those hard talks. I really tried, and I hope that was expressed accurately in our own personal situation. There was one other thing I wanted to say. I'll come back to it though. Nan, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I talked about the drama, and I want to kind of tie the drama surrounding death as a part of the grief, a part of the grieving process, because when we first found out that mom had cancer, I mean, it's just instantly I felt angry, and anger is a big root cause of drama. So I know that was any drama I may have caused, which I know we're all guilty of, a little bit. And I think Mitzi said it perfectly, how we were really blessed to have each other, because it was almost like, just to give you a visual, this isn't what happened, but this is kind of like a visual of the conversation, is like, somebody pulling somebody aside and shaking you and going, hey, we need to keep it together. It wasn't like that. It was actually said a lot more nicer, but it was like that. And a lot of people don't have that. And I remember when mom's video went viral, and I was just flooded with messages of people saying how heartbroken they are 17 years later, 20 years later, 3 years later, 4 months later, it didn't matter on the time, and they're still incredibly heartbroken. And I felt like all of a sudden I was a part of this huge network of people who've lost their parents. And I kind of felt like that with Richard when, he passed. I became a part of this network of people who've lost their siblings. And I had to kind of step back and realize that if you're not really part of that network, it's really hard for you to understand or grasp the full concept of that. And by listening to this book by Megan Devine, It's Okay Not to Be Okay, she was a counselor for grief. And she said she would counsel people all the time about grief. And when she lost her partner, she didn't realize the full impact of grief that had on somebody until that happened. And then she went back and she said she contacted many of her clients before and said, I'm sorry, I never really fully understood, it kind of made me realize that. Kathy?
Yeah, okay, so I like what you said, but I'm gonna jump back because I remembered what I was gonna say. I was gonna say that I remembered, when throughout mom's journey, you posted a lot of videos. We recorded a lot. We took lots of pictures and we posted them on Facebook or TikTok or wherever you posted them. And we got a lot of outreach about how close our family was. And that was the one cool thing that I really enjoyed about the experience, oddly enough, if there was anything to enjoy, was the fact that how we all came together so closely to love on mom and take care of her. And everyone was saying, man, you guys are so good, you guys this and you guys that, and can we adopt all of you guys, and our kids aren't going to take care of this. And it was just I gave all of that to my mom. Mom raised us this way. She raised us to be close. She raised us to be loving. She didn't raise us to be haters. And I would say everything that everyone saw online, that's how it was on a daily basis. Like, legitimately, if I go out, I don't think my kids are going to take care of me like that, but man, I wish they would, like I would wish that on anybody. And it was real. All that love, it was real every day. So I'm glad that mom had that.
Yeah, I'm gonna second that. it's so crazy because, you know, people before all of this knew that we were such an amazing family. But, you know, it does go to show what an amazing job mom did with all of us. Like, she raised us to be so tight knit, so like, literally, my sisters are my best friends. My sisters are my everything. My sisters are my world. And for people to get that glimpse inside of how we all dealt with mom's death was such an amazing attribute to how she raised us. And that was really our real lives. Like, that's how we live. That's how we are with each other on the daily. It wasn't mom's death that brought us this close. It was how we were raised, and it's how we've been our entire lives.
Yeah, it wasn't her death, it was her life.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I always tell people, you know, if I'm ever asked about it, I always say, you know, mom really was the teacher of life for me, for us, but now she's also the teacher of death, because to have that full circle is unbelievable, that a lot of people don't get to experience. And it was like this gift. You know, I was talking to Papa David. Papa David's our stepdad. I was just talking to him, I think yesterday or the day before, I can't remember. And he was this man who was married to mom for 25 years, never went out, never was social, never liked to be, you know, he just wanted to be by himself with him and his Bible and his dog. But mom was the one who was outgoing, and now he's going out. He's making friends. He's social. He's doing dinners. He's calling me all the time. He's calling you guys. And I finally talked to him, and he said, I think your mom did something to me. I think that she like made me want to have more fun. And I said, you know, there's some type of gift that people must give and then take from you when they pass. I kind of believe that. I strongly believe that, actually, because when he was telling me this, I thought to myself, going backwards, like when Dad passed, what was the gift he gave to me? When Richard passed, what was the gift he gave to me? And there's something he took. And with Papa David, I said, I kind of maybe think that she switched spirits with you. She took yours and she gave you hers as a gift, you know? And he agrees. He agrees because he's wilding out right now.
Yeah, I think the gift that Richard gave all of us, and we've talked about this before, is that he actually gave us the gift of life. I remember talking with you girls and saying about how we each wanted to live life more abundantly, harder, because he could no longer do it, you know? And I thought that was really cool. And man, if he could see us now, he'd be so proud of all of us.
Yeah, absolutely agree. So I'm going to kind of wrap this up right now. And I just wanted to ask each of you, if you could just, you know, this is an interesting topic, because when people come to you and they say, I've lost somebody too, like, what for people who haven't lost people, and Kathy, you mentioned this earlier, that it was like when people would say, I give my condolences. For people that haven't lost and people who have, maybe shed some light on what people can say to people who have lost something or can do for them, in your opinion.
I'll make this super short. I'm not a cook. You can make them food. Don't even say sorry, man. Just be like, you know, I see you're going through something hard, so here's a lasagna for the next week.
I thought Mitzi was gonna go.
I'm sitting here watching the screen. I'm like, okay, so do I go? Okay. So for me, I don't know. I'm still one of those people who still wants to say, I'm so sorry for your loss. But I also like to reach out privately to people And just say, I know that there's no words that I can, I'm trying not to tear up. I know that there's no words that I can say that helps ease your pain. With my recent loss, I just want to let you know that my heart really does go out to you. I'm praying for God to surround you with his love and his mercy to help ease your heartache. And I fully mean that whenever I do see somebody who's lost somebody, because I know just how difficult it is to get through that and to hear any words of I'm so sorry, sympathy, blah blah blah, because it is hard to hear. But at the same time, like, I feel like personally reaching out to somebody and not only putting it out there, on social media, but personally reach out to them, texting them, calling them, private messaging them. And that's what I do, is I'll reach out privately to them and say, I really, really am sorry, and I really do lift you and your family up in prayer.
Yeah, I think you said it perfectly. Reaching out. I mean, I had people that never contacted me, or maybe like threw me a dog biscuit. And then when I asked them later on, like, why didn't you reach out to me? And they said, because I didn't know what to do. And then I kind of had a flashback of something that a friend of mine had went through, and they said the same thing to me. Why didn't you reach out to me? And I said, I didn't know what to do. And it was almost like, if people don't know what to do, they're not mind readers. And you can't be mad at somebody or a friend who doesn't know what to do. Like, communicate what you need. Like Kathy said, I need food, make me some food, and I feel really thankful there was a lot of people that were reaching out and just like pouring out support and love. And that's just another example of the reflection of Mom, her love, her service to helping others, and instilling that in us. And it came back. It just kept coming back, and it was just such an example and a reflection of that true service and love.
Yeah, I think I've been really blessed with my online friends, in the fact that I don't post on it very often, because like I said, it's very private and I don't want people reminding me of what I've lost. But I have put a couple posts out there, something along the lines of, hey, look, I'm going through something right now. I'm still grieving the grief. I don't have to tell them what the grief is. I mean, for me, it's a little bit of sadness and despair and just, that hopelessness. But I don't say that, because that's nobody's business. But I say the grief is running deep right now. So if I'm absent from your life and I'm not acting like I normally do, just try to be understanding and give me some latitude, because there's a good chance I'm failing really hard right now, and I'm okay with it. So I hope you are too. So, and I get a lot of really good positive feedback from that. Like, hey, you just take your time. We're here. No one's forcing you to be present in any moments. Just do your thing. And I really appreciate that. This is a weird question. Before you wrap this up, this is my weird question to you guys. Have you guys ever received any presents from this? I know that's weird, but I had somebody reach out and, by way of condolences, sent me a wind chime.
Oh,
that's really sweet.
Yeah,
really sweet.
One of the ladies at work, she's so sweet. She said that she had seen this ad on Facebook the day Mom passed, and it's like this beaded long thing with this spinny ball in the middle, and it's got the angel wings, and you're supposed to hang it up on your window, and it creates like a
light catcher.
Yeah, like a light catcher. It's so pretty. And she said that she's seen it the day Mom passed, and she bought it for me. And I was like, oh my God, that's so sweet. I love it.
Yeah, I did receive some gifts and some letters, and honestly was just, it makes me emotional because I felt seen through an extension of them. Like many of them couldn't be with me in our moments. So their gift was like an extension of them reaching across from me and saying, you know, let me pat your heart, let me give you a hug.
Yeah.
And that's what what's that?
So that's a good way of looking at it.
Yeah, I felt like that was a translation of those the physical hugs, I guess.
Yeah.
That's a really good question, Kathy. Actually, one of the gifts I feel like Mom's given me this time around, actually, before we wrap it up, do you feel like Mom gave you a gift? And I can share what I feel she gave to me. And the gift I feel Mom gave to me was slowing down, being more present, being a better listener, and giving from that place of stillness, which is something, you girls know me, I'm fast, I'm a move maker, I go, and I just never thought that I'd see it from this point of view. And I feel like that was the gift she gave me.
I don't know, Mitz, do you want to say what, I mean, besides the gift of life?
Jesus, Mom has given me so many different gifts. She's given me her gifts of compassion, gifts of how a woman should just embrace her full self, you know. Oh my gosh, I don't know. I don't want to tear up. I don't want to cry.
You should let it out. Let the floodgates open.
Mom was just a one-of-a-kind amazing woman, and her gift was just to carry on that legacy of just being an amazing person, being a light to every single person that you come in contact with, and never looking down on somebody for how they look, never looking down on somebody for the way they act, never looking down on somebody for anything, just completely, totally, 110% accepting a person because they're human, is the gift that Mom gave me. And that's how she was in life. That's how she was in death. And, you know, I think you've mentioned it several times, Helen, is as sick as Mom was and as hurting as Mom was in the very end, you asked her, "Hi, Mama, how are you doing today?" "I'm fine." You know, and just having that "I'm fine" attitude, because you're still alive, you're still breathing. So yeah, you are fine. That was her gift.
Well, thanks, Mitz. That was awesome. Made me tear up.
You know, I think the gift that Mom gave me is, I'd say the gift of community. You know, she gave me 3 sisters and a brother. And I know that no matter what happens in life, I'm always going to have my people. That and learning how to make tortillas. Because hers were the best. Tortilla recipe, you know? I mean, as kids, you're just waiting for Mom to make tortillas so you could slip one out and put some butter on it and just eat it all up because it was so good.
The gift of the tortillas.
Yeah, to make them.
All right. Well, I got to wrap it up, and I just wanted to say ahie, gracias to both of you. Also to our sister Melissa, who's not here today. We love you, and I love you. I love both of you, 3 of you.
Hold on. If Melissa's listening, it's horses.
It's horses.
So thanks for coming on this 3-part series podcast. This is the third show of this 3-part series podcast that I just repeated twice. And thank you for supporting me, sisters, and all my crazy ideas, just like Mom did. So thanks for coming on.
Always. Love you.
Love you too. Love all you guys.
Bye. Thank you for staying with us through this podcast so far. As I begin to wrap up this 3-part series, I'm going to share with you my final words on grief and loss. My question to you: if you could talk to your loved ones again, what would you say? Here is what I would say specifically to my mom. Mom, I hope wherever your spirit is, that you are shining your light. I do hope that you're reunited with Richard. I hope you are both wrapped in true peace and harmony. If you can communicate with me, Kathy, Mitzi, Melissa, Papa David, or anyone else who loves you, please guide us and watch over us should harm stand around the corner. It was a true honor being your daughter in this lifetime. Thank you for teaching me about the best way to live life through the hard times, through the great times. Thank you for showing me the strength in dying. I know it was so hard for you to remain strong, but you did. Thank you for allowing me to hold your hand as you passed on and giving me a sign that you knew I was there to help guide you through. Gojon na dejonayu dotaachi go ni goda nishis kosho shima. Te amo, mommy. I love you. Your daughter, Nan. I'd like to leave you with this inspiration. Spend some time listening to yourself today. Ask yourself questions. Then ask yourself if you are being honest with yourself, especially when it comes to grief. When you are spending time with your loved ones, take time to breathe and listen. When your mind begins to wander, take another deep breath and bring your attention back to your loved ones. Ask them if they feel seen or heard. It's a really beautiful part of communication and diving deeper with somebody. When you speak, maybe slow down a bit. Allow expression and intentions to be heard through your words. Be more than just an ego in this world. Be spirit. And remember, spirit is big energy, not heavy energy. Allow spirit to be one of healing and good in your world. Thank you so much for listening to part 3 of this 3-part podcast series on grief and loss. Remember that your reviews help get this podcast seen and heard and bumped up and basically helps it spread. And that's a big part of our growth. So please leave us a review. We'd appreciate it so much. If you'd like to send us a note on your own journey or just give a shout out to a loved one, you can email us at sexyfreedomnow@gmail.com. Don't forget to follow and subscribe by clicking the link in the show notes. Thank you all for the continued support and reviews.